The new Warzone 2 map Al-Mazrah has a ton of secret areas and remastered maps from previous Call of Duty games. So in this video, I'm going to hopefully teach you something new and show you every remastered map in Al-Mazrah. Let's start out with the secret ones, which are not obvious at all. Starting out with these warehouses, which you can find just east of Al-Mazrah city, and there's a lot of these around the map. Now, it might not seem obvious at first, but when you're running around these warehouses, you'll see that the layout and the design is very familiar, and it's a subtle nod to a Modern Warfare 2 DLC map from 2009 called Storm. The way that this space is laid out, the stairs, even the openings are exactly the same as it is in the original MW2 map Storm. If we compare what you're seeing in Al-Mazrah now to the original in Modern Warfare 2, you can see that this is a one-to-one remake, although the space is a little bit bigger. Rather than this be its own separate POI, it's just a very small detail that is very subtle that you would not know unless you were a real big OG COD fan to recognize it. The main difference is that it's not raining and there's no storm. Now, this next map needs no introduction, and you can find it right on the edge of Harried Port, and this is a remake of the classic map Shipment. It's an unmarked area of Al-Mazrah, and it's actually on a ship, ironically, for the first time ever. But yeah, this is Shipment. It is a massive open version of Shipment compared to what you were probably expecting, and funnily enough, this is going to be remade into a multiplayer map for MW2, which is going to be set at nighttime with rain. It's a fairly cool spot to land if you're playing Warzone 2 to get some loot, and placed in a spot of the map where you genuinely would never know it was there. Now, this next remastered map is one of my favorite out of all of them because it is so subtle, and this is going to be found also in Harried Port, and it's these sets of warehouses, and the moment that you go into it, it should immediately be recognizable what map this is. And this is a remake of the COD 4 map Pipeline. In the middle of Pipeline, you had two iconic sort of warehouse buildings, and in one of them, there's a small office where there is a ladder that takes you all the way up to the roof, and it is still here in Al-Mazrah. You can take the exact same ladder up, and then there is a secondary ladder that takes you up to the rooftops where you can overlook both of these warehouses. Now, there is planks of wood added here to allow you to traverse between each, which wasn't in the original, but still a very, very cool Easter egg to me. A remastered area that really put a smile on my face. Now, this next one is really subtle because there's a majority of you that won't actually know that this is a map remake, and this is Tarak Village, which is the multiplayer map Tarak. Now, if you didn't already know, this entire area is a remake of a Call of Duty 1 multiplayer map called Newville. Rather than it being set in a desert like it is here, it was actually set in France, and there was tanks that were around the map, and those buildings that are now iconic to anyone that's played a lot of Tarak in both multiplayer, ground war, or Warzone 2. It is a really smart way of remastering a map that had absolutely nothing to do with the modern day Middle East visual look of Warzone 2, but still transform it to make it look like it naturally does. Do you know that this was a remake from COD 1? Let me know in the comments below. Now, this next remastered map is also one of my joint favorites, and this can be discovered around the Satiq Cave Complex. Most of this area is made up of a lot of shacks, but if you make your way further forward, you'll notice that this is Afghan from the original Modern Warfare 2, and it looks absolutely beautiful. One of the main things that it's missing, however, is that iconic plane in the middle, but everything else about Afghan has remained intact. You've got this sort of mountain hill where people used to snipe and do trick shots off. If we make our way around, you can see we've got the stairs that lead down, which is exactly the same from Modern Warfare 2. Then you'll also have the caves, which again is exactly as it was in the original Afghan. And I think this is a absolutely amazing remake, as again, it is just really, really subtle. The cave also contains what looks to be some sort of elevator that will be able to take you further underground somewhere. Kind of wild if they add that in one day, but this iconic section as well where you'd find people camping in the windows and take you through to the other side of the map is also there. Now, the next remastered maps we're going to show you are a little less subtle. They're a lot bigger than the ones we've just shown you, but all the more still awesome. Over in Akdar Village, you've got a massive village full of huge buildings and towers and stuff, but the main focus of Akdar Village takes you to this area where you've got a massive statue and this area here. This is a 1-to-1 map remake of the COD 4 map Showdown. It is absolutely 1-to-1 from the original multiplayer map. It looks absolutely beautiful here in Al-Mazrah, and it just integrates so well with the rest of the Akdar village. I'd even go so far to say it as the lighting in Al-Mazrah is exactly the same as it was in COD 4, so it looks incredible in this. And the main difference is that there are ladders that take you further up past where you originally were able to get to in the Showdown map, which for any OG COD 4 fan feels a little bit weird, but it looks beautiful. Now, this is a hell of a subtle remake, and this can be found in Tarak Village. It's also part of the Tarak Ground War map. But here in Al-Mazrah, you can find the original Rust building out in the desert. As you can see, 1-to-1, exactly the same as it was from OG MW2, as well as how it was in Modern Warfare 2019. You can immediately tell that there is a lot of barrenness around this, like this part of the area which has been like submerged in oil. So it's not quite the whole of Rust, but it's very, very iconic. But on the topic of iconic, if we make our way over to the observatory, you can see very iconic multiplayer map from Modern Warfare 3, and this is Dome. The observatory area is made up of multiples of these dome buildings that we saw in the original Dome, but of course the iconic one from that map returns, as well as the entire map layout as well. Every part of the map is 1-to-1 recreated in this part of observatory, but it is a lot more open than the original Modern Warfare 3, but it looks amazing in this. It's just popping with color and brightness, and it's centered right in the middle of the map, so you get a great view of everything. Now, looking over at the area Al-Mazrah Quarry, you can see the 1-to-1 remake from Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer Quarry. So much of what made this map very fun to play and iconic in the OG Modern Warfare 2 has been restored in this area, and everything that you remember is exactly the same. Although the one main additional change is that in the center, there is now a lot of water that's replaced what was originally just dry land. So you'll be accessing part of that main crane building by actually swimming underwater and looting that building whilst you're underwater. The map is also a lot more open compared to how it was in Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer, but that map was pretty big considering what the other map sizes were. Now, this one should come as no surprise, but labeled in the bottom right of Al-Mazrah is the airport, and of course, this contains the entirety of the original Modern Warfare 2 map Terminal. Rather than this solely just be the main terminal map that we all know and love, this is heavily expanded with tons more areas to loot and explore than what was previously in the terminal map. Some of those classic parts of this map return. You still have the Burger Town, though, now given that sort of Middle East theme. There's also another food place, so there might be food wars happening in the terminal at some point, who knows. The main big difference is the fact that the big plane that is parked right in the front of the terminal in the original map is nowhere to be seen here. Instead, the runway is pretty barren and open, but there are some hangars in the back that have some private jets, as well as an ATC tower. And that's just given me some flashbacks from Verdansk that I don't necessarily want to remember. But last and by no means least is if we go to Al-Mazrah City and land on the main center building, you will notice straight away that you are landing in Highrise, one of the most iconic multiplayer maps from MW2, and it has been restored to its full glory. If you're playing on Warzone 2, the helicopter will still be on that helipad like it was in the original. You can also check it out in DMZ, as you're seeing in this video, and everything is retained exactly the same, even down to the way that the offices are laid out, as well as the slightly underground section of tunnels that you can take you out between each side of Highrise, which is really, really cool. But again, aside from it being just a little bit bigger in most areas, it's obviously themed Modern Warfare 2-esque, but it is all exactly the same. Hope you guys learned something new in this video and feel a bit nostalgic. Who knows, I might have missed something, so if I did, let me know in the comments below. But subscribe for more.